Good morning. We're exploring this whole idea that God has made you for a purpose and that you are here on purpose, that God has placed you strategically in all kinds of different arenas in people's lives to have his impact for good in their lives. And he wants you and I to basically join him in work already in progress. He wants you and I to be engaged in this. And so, with this in mind, I think that one of the things I run into with a lot of people is that they just don't believe that idea that there's okay, that's for the professionals, or that's for the really anointed ones, that's for the, and whatever that qualifier is that says I'm not part of that group, I'm not part of that special group of people. I know that God loves me, but I'm not that useful. And again, I hear this all the time, and it's just not true. That we're believing something that is not true. And so I want to encourage you in this to acknowledge that to the Lord, to be able to bring that to God and to say, Lord, this is really what's going on in my heart. It's not in sync with you. It's not in sync with reality. It's not in sync with your purposes and your intentions and your design. But it is where the place where I am. And I think of a story from Mark chapter 9 in this, where there's an argument that's going on between Jesus's disciples and the religious leaders over why they can't cast out a demon out of this boy who the demon thrashes him about, and the father's just crestfallen. He's devastated by this whole thing, and Jesus says, bring him to me. And then when they bring the boy to him, the father says, if you can, would you please do something? And Jesus says, if I can, all things are possible for the one who believes. And the man says, I believe, or I choose to believe, help me overcome my unbelief. Or literally the Greek is, I believe, help my unbelief. And I think that there's something beautiful about this, that the man acknowledges that I believe something short of what's true, but I'm also believing you in this, and I'm trying to move from this place where I am, if you can, to I know you can. And so he acknowledges that in order to move into faith. And I want to ask you today to acknowledge that your shortcomings in terms of what you believe about yourself and how God will use you. I want to ask you to acknowledge that truthfully with God, and then say, but I do believe you. I acknowledge my unbelief, and I acknowledge my belief.